Hello, everyone. Happy Football Friday. Officially winter in Milwaukee, so it's good times here.
Yep.
But yeah, we had some MACtion, some really good games going on Tuesday, Wednesday, and then last night as well. Not MACtion, but had some decent Monday, Thursday games in the NFL. Talk about all that. We talked about the XFL draft, which I was excited about. We have teams now that are going to start training camp here in about a couple weeks, and then get to it in February. But we'll talk about that. Talk about some USFL stuff, and then get into game previews for this weekend. So the first games we had on Tuesday, Bowling Green beating Toledo 42-35. Very happy for the Falcons. They're staying in the hunt in the MAC East division. They're still one game back of Ohio. I believe Ohio has not clinched yet. I'd have to check on that. But Matt McDonald, what a game. 20 of 36, 55.6%, 395 yards, 4 touchdowns and a pick. Tucker Gleason, pretty decent game himself, 5 total touchdowns, 22 of 40, 55%, 329 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks, 17 carries, 106 rushing yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. But yeah, it was all about the quarterbacks, all about the passing game in this one. High scoring affair, and this is why we love MACtion, right?
Yes, sir.
And how about the receiving night for Odu Hillier? What a name, by the way. 8 receptions, 246 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's 30.8 per reception there. And no, Ohio is not clinched to the MAC East yet, because thanks to the Falcons winning this game, they will play for the MAC East Division Championship next weekend. Because Buffalo's game against Akron got postponed. Not sure. I would have to think that game's not going to be made up, and they have already lost. So I'm not sure what happens if it's a 3-way tie, because Buffalo lost to Ohio, but they beat Bowling Green, so it would have all 3 of them beating each other. Not sure who would get in that incident, but I would have to think it'd be Bowling Green again, because Buffalo's game getting postponed this weekend. They're not going to have a chance to get to 6-2 in conference play like Bowling Green would if they beat Ohio next week. But yeah, the leading rusher in this game outside of Gleason was Bowling Green's running back Jason Patterson. 15 carries, 49 yards, 1 catch for 7. Defensively, a lot of good performances here. Going to mention 2 guys. Bowling Green defensive lineman Carl Brooks, 6 tackles, 3 solos, 2 sacks, 3.5 tackles for loss, 2 QB hurries. And then Bowling Green safety Patrick Day, 4 tackles, 2 solos, and a blocked punt recovered for a touchdown in the end zone. Bowling Green plus 15. How about that? They went outright as a 15-point favorite, over 46.5 easy. Speaking of Ohio, 32-18 over Ball State. The Bobcats get to 8-3. Cardinals quarterback John Paddock, 29 of 48, 60.4%, 273 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Curtis Rourke has been lights out for the Bobcats this season, 12 of 16, 75%, 169 yards, a touchdown, 5 carries for 12 yards. His brother is Nathan Rourke in the CFL, lighting that league up, and just got a tryout actually with the 49ers. he got hurt though in this one, did Rourke. So CJ Harris came in 5 of 8, 62.5%, 34 yards, 8 carries, 38 yards, and a fumble. Have to monitor that game going. That injury going into that Bowling Green game could factor in largely on who wins that MAC East division. Running backs. This one was a lot about the running game here. C.A. Bangura for the Bobcats, 23 carries, 148 yards, 2 touchdowns. My guy, I absolutely love Carson Steele. I don't know if you've watched him a lot, Logan, but this man is a beast. 14 carries, 96 yards. Unfortunately, 2 fumbles in this one, but he is quite the running back there at Ball State. You're muted.
I'm not up on my Carson Steele tape, but you're giving me another guy to kind of clap my eyes on here a little bit.
Yeah, these MAC kids, they find a way to the league and be productive. So, yeah, definitely one to keep an eye on there. Leading receiver in this one, Ball State's tight end Brady Hunt, 9 catches, 90 yards, and a touchdown. Defensively, I'm going to go with Ohio safety Alvin Floyd, 12 tackles, 5 solos, a half a tackle for loss, 1 pass deflection, and a pick. Ohio covered -3.5, under 58. Wednesday nights, Eastern Michigan getting to 7-4, 31-24 over Kent State. Taylor Powell had a great night for the Eagles, 30 of 39, 76.9%, 315 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 carries for 21 yards. Colin Schlee for Kent State, 6 of 12, 50%, 150, 1 touchdown, 7 carries, 45 yards. He got injured. So Devin Cargman came in 7 of 19, 36.8%, 91 yards. Yeah, Eastern, good team. They are going to get a decent bowl game there because since Toledo has locked up the MAC West. But leading rusher in this one, EMU's running back Samson Evans, 33 carries, 94 yards, a touchdown, 1 catch for 4 yards. Kent State running back Marquez Cooper, he had 20 carries, 80 yards, 2 touchdowns. 200-yard receivers in this game, both on Kent State. Wide receiver Devontae Walker, 6 receptions, 121 yards. And Jay-Sean Polk, 6 receptions, 105 yards, a touchdown. And then Eastern Michigan's, I love this name, Tanner Canoe, 5 receptions, 77 yards, 2 scores for him. Yeah, Tanner Canoe is one of my favorite MAC wide receivers. He's a slot guy.
That is an excellent football name.
Him and Baydoun there, Hassan Baydoun. Defensively, I'm going to go with Eastern Michigan defensive lineman Jose Ramirez. Not the Cleveland Guardians player, but the Eastern Michigan football player, Jose Ramirez. 7 tackles, 5 solos, 1 sack, 3.5 tackles for loss. Eastern Michigan +8, under 60. Miami, Ohio. Look at the Red Hawks trying to stay, get into a bowl here. One more game, one more win to do it. 29-23 over Northern Illinois. Avion Smith for the Red Hawks, 11 of 23, 47.8%, 185 yards, a touchdown. 20 carries, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns. Great running game by the Miami, Ohio quarterback. NIU's quarterback, Nevin Cremascoli, 14 of 22, 63.6%, 165 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. NIU had dual leading ball carriers on the night. Jaden Cradle, 15 carries, 97 yards, and Ontario Brown, 5 carries, 97 yards, and a touchdown. Leading receiver in this one, Miami, Ohio, wide receiver Mac Hippenhammer, 5 receptions, 105 yards, and touchdown. Like to see Hip being productive, former Penn State guy. And this one, the defense statistics were screwed up on ESPN, so they all have the same stat line here. And I used defensive tackle Devontae O'Malley and linebacker Nick Alvarado and Miami, Ohio defensive lineman Corey Suttle. All had one tackle. It was a solo tackle, one sack, and a tackle for loss. But yeah, when we do next Friday's show, we'll be previewing any and all games that have teams that are 5 and 6 that are trying to make a bowl. So we'll have a lot more games next week. Just a heads up. But Miami, Ohio covered. It was a pick'em game, and over a 44.5 hit. This next one was crazy. Western Michigan won 12-10 over Central Michigan, but it was a blizzard at the beginning of the game. Snow was coming down like crazy. Thought the announcers were like, yeah, it's really snowy. Like, we think it's going to be a defensive battle. And then they come out 2 long touchdown runs, one by each team in the first quarter. And they're like, wow, maybe it'll be an offensive showcase. Ended up being their original thinking, low scoring, 7-7 after the first quarter. But yeah, Western got the win here. Trayson Bourget, 7 of 19, 36.8%, 102 yards, 11 carries, 57 yards. And Jace, Central Michigan played 2 quarterbacks. Jace Bauer, 3 of 7, 42.9%, 62 yards a pick, 4 carries for 21 yards. Bert Emanuel Jr., 3 of 3, 32 yards, and then 21 carries, 98 yards, a touchdown on the ground. He has been lighting it up on the ground. But this one was weird. And I said crazy in the beginning, crazy/weird, whatever you want to call it. So Central Michigan went up 10-7, and then Western thought that they had taken the lead on a sack fumble that was right at the goal line. They recovered the ball in the end zone for a touchdown, got overturned to a safety. So they were still down 9-10. And then they finally got down close enough, kicked a game-winning field goal, 12-10. So that's how this game went. Another MAC running back that I absolutely adore, Western's Sean Tyler. 26 carries, 177 yards, and a touchdown. Also another beast in the MAC. Just saying. I like a lot of MAC players, but it's fine.
MAC running backs and Big Ten linebackers.
Yeah. That's how it goes. But then leading receiver in this game, Western Michigan wide receiver Corey Crooms, 4 receptions, 63 yards. Defensively, got to go with Western Michigan defensive lineman Andre Carter, 6 tackles, 5 solos, 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, and the safety that I mentioned earlier. Western Michigan plus 10, under 48.5. Last night, number 21, Tulane. The Green Wave getting back on track after their loss to UCF last weekend. 59-24 over SMU. Tanner Mordecai for the Mustangs, 32 of 50, 64%, 308 yards, 2 touchdowns, a pick, and a fumble. But the night was about Michael Pratt, the Tulane quarterback here, 9 of 14, 64.3%, 141 yards, 3 touchdowns passing, 10 carries, 70 yards, 3 touchdowns rushing. 6 total for Michael Pratt on the night. Kevin Jennings came in for Mordecai there at the end. He went 3 of 3 for 31 yards. My guy, Tajay Spears for the Green Wave, had a nice night also. 13 carries, 121 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground, and a 5-yard receiving touchdown as well. So 3 for him on the night. And a couple guys scoring twice in this one. Tulane wide receivers Shea Wyatt, 3 catches, 104 yards, 2 touchdowns. And SMU tight end RJ Maryland, 6 receptions, 61 yards, and 2 touchdowns as well. Defensively, Tulane linebacker Darius Hodges, 5 tackles, 4 solos, 2.5 sacks, 2.5 tackles for loss. I'm disappointed Tulane. I'm hoping that they can still make the American Championship game, which they can, because they currently, with this game, have a half lead on Cincinnati and UCF. Even though they lost to UCF, UCF would be in the driver's seat right now. But this game allows Tulane, if Cincinnati wins this weekend against Temple, this game allows Tulane to have the game at Cincinnati next weekend for the second spot in the American Championship game. So, yeah. Tulane covered easily, -3.5, over 65. Monday Night Football, the Commanders beat the Eagles, their first loss of the season, 32-21. And I keep saying congrats to the ref skins, because there was 4 bullshit moments in this game, right? First one, the late hit out of bounds call that was not out of bounds. He was still inbounds, clearly, on CJ Gardner-Johnson there. Second, the blatant non-call of the face mask on Dallas Goedert that led to a fumble for the Eagles offense. Third one was just a terrible play by Quez Watkins, fumbling the ball after a long gain. That was just terrible. And then the last one was a pretty BS call on the late hit on Taylor Heineke that ended the game, gave Washington a first down. I mean, you can't expect Brandon Graham to pull up that hard when you're running after the quarterback. And who would expect the quarterback to just take a knee right there after he rolls out to the right? I mean, not many players, I don't think, on the defensive side would expect that to happen.
Yeah, it's tough. And I didn't get a chance to watch this game, so I don't know all of those, instances, but I did hear about the Dallas Goedert no call. And someone made a really good point, and I forget where I saw this, but they were like, look, there's no reason why the NFL shouldn't have a plan in place to just be able to review those.
Yeah.
Whether it's a call or a non-call. Like everyone else, all the broadcast angles, everybody else in America is able to see that and make that call, except for the people that where it counts. And that just doesn't make any sense. So something for the NFL to look at kind of in the off season this year.
Yeah, and that's what they were saying on the broadcast. I don't remember which former official, the name of the former official that they have on ESPN's Monday night games. But he even said, we've been wanting that the 15-yard penalties to be available for review for a while now, and the NFL and the owners just have not. The owners and the competition committee have not been susceptible to voting for it, getting enough votes for it. So we'll see. But yeah, and I mean, even the fans in the stadium and the refs, everyone in the stadium can see it when they show the replay on the big screen too. Because I don't remember the cheer or the boos for when they showed that call in the stadium, but I know on the late hit that they called on CJ Gardner-Johnson, they showed the replay on the big screen, and the fans all started booing because you could clearly see his foot was still in bounds when contact was made. So, yeah, I think 15-yard penalties should be subject to review But yeah, so that would bring in face mask, personal foul, any personal fouls. I don't know what else, but yeah. But Taylor Heineke, 17 to 29, 58.6%, 211 yards, 1 pick, 5 carries, 10 yards, and a fumble. Jalen Hurts, 17 to 26, 65.4%, 175 yards, 2 touchdowns, a pick, 6 carries, 28 yards, and a rushing touchdown there. Even though the Eagles lost, Hurts did enough for me to win my fantasy matchup, thankfully. Brian Robinson for the Commanders here, 26 carries, 86 yards, a touchdown, leading rusher on the night. Leading receiver on the night, Terry McLaurin for Washington, 8 catches, 128 yards on 11 targets. You can see Watkins, Smith, and Goddard all fumbling there. Turnovers were a big issue. The Eagles turned it over 4 times. They had been tied for the least amount of turnovers in NFL history through the first 8 games. They had only turned it over 3 times through 8 games there. But yeah, I mean, that's how you lose games. Turnovers, penalties. But I mean, yeah, again, I thought a lot of the loss was on the refs. You would only turned it over 3 times instead of 4 with that penalty of the face mask. Dallas Goedert now gets hurt. He got hurt on that play, partially from the face mask, he thinks. Anyways. But defensively there, got to go with Eagles safety CJ Gardner-Johnson, 6 tackles, all of them solos, 2 pass deflections, a QB hit, and a pick. And yeah, again, also the run defense was terrible. Robinson was only 3.3 yards per carry, but they were getting good chunks on first down, and then it was just setting up easy 3rd and short conversions. The Commanders were just astronomically great on 3rd down in that game, but yeah, it's because it was 3rd and they were averaging 4 yards to go on 3rd down at one point in this game. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
If you're averaging 3rd and 4 every series, like,
yeah, it's a good position to be in. Yep.
But it's okay. It's 1 loss. I actually think it's a good time to have it. It's right in the middle of the season. You're in the heat of everything, and it lifts the weight off. You don't have to be perfect. So the 72 guys popped their champagne on Monday night, and there's a party in Miami. But yeah, I think it's fine. Eagles will bounce back. They got a nice schedule still the rest of the way, and got some help for that run defense, which we'll talk about. But the Commanders plus 11 over 43. Titans beating the Packers 27-17 last night. Ryan Tannehill was fantastic. 22 of 27, 81.5%, 333 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Aaron Rodgers was not as stellar. 24 of 39, 61.5%, 227 yards, 2 touchdowns. Go ahead, Mr. Packer.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of another encapsulation of kind of the year and kind of how it's been. You look at, how this game was lost. I mean, the play calling wasn't there. The defense was, as it has been for the last 3 years, hot and cold. They actually did an amazing job of stopping Derrick Henry. So they got that part of the game plan down.
Running the ball anyways.
Yeah. And then they just decided to, lay an egg and allow Ryan Tannehill to look like a world beater. I mean, you cannot allow 80% completion percentage at this level and expect to win anything. So yeah, I mean, it's just frustrating. And it's, I said a few weeks ago that the template for success for this team the way they built it this year was set up to have Rodgers lift up this receiving core through his play, kind of elevate it. The O-line to be dominant, control the line of scrimmage, and establish a really strong run game. And then for the defense to be near the top 10 range, be really good, at least be kind of stingy, kind of, get the ball back. And it just hasn't come together that way. So yeah, I mean, when that happens, when you fail kind of on all those three accounts, this is what it looks like. This is what kind of 4-7 looks like. And someone made I forget who said it, but someone made a really good point, and I think you can apply this logic to so many things, especially in football. But like, there's such a tendency, I feel like, in today's world, to like, where you're like, okay, what's the reason for this? Like, what's the one thing? It's a bunch of stuff. You don't go from Super Bowl favorites to 4-7 without like a bunch of things going wrong, and kind of a bunch of people needing to kind of be held accountable. So yeah, I mean, as far as things go, the rest of the way here, they're not done yet. But now the margin for error is 0, because you essentially have to win out now if you're hoping to get one of those wild card spots. I don't think being 9-8 does it. I think you got to be 10-7. You got to be somewhere around there to kind of make it work. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. The only thing that we have to hang our hand on is our boy Christian Watson, at least making that offense a little more watchable with a little bit more vertical passing attacks. So that's been fun to watch his development now that he's kind of fully healthy here. But yeah,
Well, it doesn't get easier.
it doesn't. Yeah.
Going to Philadelphia next Sunday night is the next game for Green Bay. Then they got the Bears, the Rams, Dolphins, Vikings, and Lions. And I don't even think it's a for sure thing now that we've seen the Lions beat the Packers this year already. And how improved the Bears offense has been. But the defense is now terrible without Quinn and Roquan. So, but
yeah. The Bears game is, out of all the ones you listed, is the only one that I feel fairly confident in, just because we just kind of have had their number. It's kind of the same way that we were able to kind of beat the Cowboys, even though on paper we should have never been able to do it. It's just, for whatever reason, it's a team that we've been able to have their number. But yeah, like you said, every one of those games, all those games are going to be must wins, and neither of them are layups. None of them. So
Derrick Henry, leading rusher in this one, 28 carries, 87 yards, a touchdown, 2 receptions for 45 yards, and completed both of his passing attempts. I didn't see the other one, but I did see the 4-yard passing touch, the 1-yard passing touchdown or whatever it was. Jump pass into the end zone to Hooper, who was, of course, wide open. But leading receiver in this one, how about the return of first round pick Treylon Burks for Tennessee? 7 receptions, 111 yards, 8 targets for him in this game. Yeah, it was a good game back for him. And then also, like you said, Christian Watson, the second round pick for the Packers, 4 catches, 48 yards, 2 touchdowns on 6 targets, 5 touchdowns over the last 2 games for him. So
he now leads among rookies in touchdowns, and he had 0 6 days ago. That's the stat. That's the stat of the day.
Well, that's a little pat on the back, but
yeah.
The rookie running backs are the guys that are going to be up for OPOY. So, or OROY. defensively, I'm gonna go with the bottom guy there, Preston Smith, linebacker for the Packers. 5 tackles, 2 solos, 1.5 sacks, 1 tackle for loss, 2 QB hits. Titans +3 over 40.5. And I'm the only one that got a win this week on the Monday picks. Everyone picked the Eagles on Monday, and I lone wolfed the Titans on last night. So yeah, I got my spot back at the top over Mark. Okay, XFL draft results predictions here. So yeah, I was excited. These pictures are not in the order. They're in my original prediction order, but looking at the head coaches, adding that factor in kind of changed my mind a little bit. So I'm going with the Vegas Vipers, number 1. The Arlington Renegades as number 2. That changed because their head coach is Bob Stoops. Him along with Kyle Sloter, I think is going to be a great offense there with Dexter Williams at running back, Sal Cannella at tight end. Their receivers don't really do much for me, but they do have Jordan Smallwood from Oklahoma. But my biggest thing was Sal Cannella there, and the quarterback, Sloter and Stoops. I think that offense is going to run just fine. But Vegas Vipers first there, Louis Perez, he was the biggest factor for me. That and their running backs should be very good. John Lovett from Penn State, Matt Jones from Florida, and DeAndre Torrey, North Texas there. Love those guys. Receivers, 3 out of their 5 I highlighted. Martavis Bryant is back. Clemson. Jeff Badette from Oklahoma, and Saeed Blacknall, another Penn State guy there. And then tight end Sean Price, like that. Our boy Antonio Garcia, drafted to the Vegas Vipers, should help them at guard there. Donovan West, also very good at guard, Arizona State. Avery Young from Auburn there. Defensively, they had some pieces. Robert Windsor, D-line. Linebackers Vic Beasley and Peta Talmapenu from Utah. And then defensive back Jamison Houston from Baylor. That was the guys I liked on Vegas's defense. And then also special teams, Michael Carrizosa, good punter there from San Jose State. Kind of mentioned the guys I liked on Arlington there. Sloter. Their other quarterback, Drew Plitt, is also very good. Ball State guy there. Mentioned Williams, mentioned Cannella. Defensively, Bruce Hector, USF there. Jesse Lemonier from Liberty, linebacker. And then DBs, I listed 4 here. Devontae Bosby has played in the league. Shakur Brown from Michigan State. Raheem Moore is playing in the XFL. And then TJ Green at Clemson also. And their special teams, I think, are going to be probably the best ones out of the league. Taylor Russolino at kicker out of Millsaps College. And then Marquette King, Fort Valley State, also punter with the Raiders formerly there. So my third team I had was the Seattle Sea Dragons, I believe. And for them, the quarterbacks here, they're coached by Jim Haslett, former Washington, D.C., and D.C. with a bunch of people in the league. But their quarterbacks, Ben DiNucci, Steven Montez, really like that combo there. DiNucci, I'm excited to watch for him to have a starting job there. Running backs, Brendan Knox from Marshall, Scotty Phillips, Ole Miss. And wide receivers I like here, Rashard Davis, James Madison, and Jalen Redd from Oregon. O-line for them, Michael Manette for Penn State, Julian Davenport, Bucknell, played with the Texans for a while. Defensively, D-line, Curtis Weaver, Boise State, PJ Hall, Sam Houston State, formerly with the Giants there. Linebacker, Tuzar Skipper out of Toledo, played with the Steelers a little bit. Defensive back, Antoine Brooks is playing in the XFL. Kind of shocked. He was a draft pick just last year, I believe. Don't remember who he went to, but I believe it was, never mind. I don't know. Other defensive backs here, Reggie Robinson from Tulsa, Quinterio Cole for Louisville, and Michael Wright, Oregon. And then for them, I highlighted, this is the only long snapper I highlighted in the league. Thomas Fletcher, Alabama, long snapper, got drafted last year, 7th round with the Panthers. Did not win that battle, so he is back on a professional team here. Any thoughts on the, or no, this is my 4th one here. Never mind, hold on. I'll get your thoughts at the midway point, the fourth team. My 4th one, the St. Louis Battlehawks. AJ McCarron is going to be their quarterback there. Mateo Durant from Duke, Brian Hill from Wyoming, running backs like them. Really love their wide receivers. Marcel Aitman from Oklahoma State, he was their 1st round draft pick. Jamarcus Bradley, Louisiana. Darius Shepard, North Dakota State. And Austin Prohl, Ricky Prohl's son, from North Carolina. Jalen Smith is their tight end from Louisville. Offensive line, Steven Gonzalez from Penn State. John Toth from Kentucky. Great selection there. Didn't really like any of their D linemen. Linebackers, though, they got 2 that I mentioned, I highlighted here. Emeka Egbule, Houston. And a guy I absolutely loved coming out. Hate that he didn't make the NFL. Mike Rose from Iowa State. Loved Mike Rose in college. DBs here, Channing Stribling, Michigan. He's been around. Quentin Meeks has also been around a bunch of different places. Played his college ball at Stanford. D'Angelo Ross from New Mexico. And then I highlighted their punter as well, Sterling Hoffrichter from Syracuse. Do you have any thoughts on those 4 teams?
Yeah, I still need to do my deep dive here, and I still have to go through and kind of pick my my pet team and my who I think is going to kind of, win out. But I think, one of the things that I was able to see is that the Vipers retained a lot of kind of veteran talent they were able to do. And I think that's something that could be a major plus in a league like this. So I do think that right now that would be a decent pick for one of the top dogs there.
Yeah, also draft hosted in Vegas. Made it a little bit special there. My 4th one, the San Antonio Brahmas. I have, in terms of quarterbacks here, Jawan Pass highlighted. Prairie View A&M guy. Very electric with his dual threat ability there. Running backs, like all 3 of them that they got in the draft. Jock Patrick, Florida State. He played in the XFL with the Tampa Bay Vipers in their original iteration. Calvin Turner, Hawaii. And Kalen Balazs, Arizona State there. Didn't like most of their wide receivers. Tight end, though, DeAndre Goolsby from Florida. Liked him. One offensive lineman I liked for them, Malcolm Bunch, UCLA. No D lineman that I liked. Linebackers, though, Omari Cobb, Marshall, liked him there. And another guy, just like Mike Rose, I was surprised didn't really latch on in the NFL. Joel Dublanko from Cincinnati this past year. Defensive backs, Luke Barku, San Diego State. Kerry Vincent Jr., big get for them, I think, LSU. And Bubba Bolden, Miami there. And Terrell Bonds, Tennessee State. And I highlighted both of their kicker and punter, John Parker Romo, Virginia Tech. And how about Brad Wing coming back into pro football? LSU, Brad Wing. Next one, Orlando Guardians. DeAndre Francois is the quarterback I highlighted there. Hampton University, also Florida State. Didn't like either of their two running backs. So they're going to pass the ball a lot. Charleston Rambo, Miami, their first selection in the draft. And also Cody Latimer, Indiana, liked him there. Didn't like any of their offensive linemen. D-line, though, Nick Coe, Auburn, big defensive tackle there. And Stanley Maponga, TCU. Didn't like their linebackers. D. Virgin, West Alabama, though, defensive back. And Matt Elam, Florida, getting back in pro football here with the Guardians. And then Jose Borregales is their kicker from Miami. My DC Defenders, unfortunately, I had them picked to second last. Terrell Buckley here. But didn't really like their quarterback. They only got one. Eric Dungy. De'Aaron King was their other quarterback. He decided to sign with the CFL team, I believe, instead of entering the draft, not the draft, being selected for quarterback. But Abram Smith was the number one overall pick in the draft. I like him out of Baylor. And Raquel Armstead out of Temple, really like that selection as well. Jaquez Ezzard, Sam Houston State, really liked him there. Tight end Kahale Waring, San Diego State, was with the Texans for a little bit. Didn't like any of their offensive linemen. One defensive lineman I liked for DC, Jacob Penisuk, Michigan State guy there. None of the linebackers I really liked. Defensive backs, though, Parnell Motley, Oklahoma, and DeJuan Neal, Shepherd, and then Holton Hill from Texas. Liked those three guys. They didn't have a kicker. They drafted two punters, so I would think that one of them is going to kick, though. Didn't like either of them, however. And then finally, the Houston Roughnecks. I put Wade Phillips' team last. His coaching probably might bump them up a spot or two, though. I didn't really like their quarterbacks, except that they did just get Cole McDonald, so I'm kind of excited about him, Hawaii guy. Max Borghi, though. Loved Max Borghi at Washington State. Really excited about him. Deontay Burnett from USC is one of their wide receivers. Didn't like their tight end they drafted, nor did I like most of their offensive line. D-line, though, they got three guys: Elijah Qualls, Washington; Chauncey Rivers, Mississippi State; and C.J. Brewer, Coastal Carolina. He was a beast there with that Black Swarm defense. Linebackers also really like them. Ellis Brooks and my guy, Diego Fagot from Navy. He was a tackling machine there at the Naval Academy. And then one defensive back I liked for Houston, Gene Harris, USC. Didn't like any of their special teams guys there. But yeah, I'm excited. So I went Vegas, Arlington, Seattle, St. Louis, San Antonio, Orlando, DC, and Houston. These are post-draft picks. They are not my final predictions. Wait till depth charts come out. And they also have a supplemental draft in early January that more players will be selected. Players that are currently on teams that get cut, or that, and all the players that were still eligible for this draft that didn't get drafted will still be eligible for that draft as well in January. See what the rosters shake out depth charts wise, and then make final predictions before the first week of the season, February 18th, 2023.
All right, brother man, I gotta hop off. I will see you next week.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. USFL news. The USFL officially announced the return of the Memphis Showboats, formerly the Tampa Bay Bandits. They will stay in the South Division with the Birmingham Stallions, the New Orleans Breakers, and the Houston Gamblers there. NFL news. The NFL is eyeing more international expansion. They are looking at Spain and France for future potential future international game sites. Spain more likely there just because of the market that they already have there. And then Sweden has also been of interest to the league. And real quick note, just because I just thought about it, I'm wearing all my high school garb tonight. Good luck to the Northern York Polar Bears tonight, heading to Exeter Township in the District 3, the PIAA District 3 semifinals there. The back to NFL news though, free agent tight end Chris Herndon, he has been suspended for the final 8 games of the 2022 season. Former Jets and Vikings tight end, now out for the rest of the year because of suspension. The Browns and Bills game, it has been moved from Buffalo to Detroit. They will keep their Sunday 1 p.m. Eastern game time there. Possibly getting 6 feet of snow in Buffalo here with thunder snow, which I had never heard of before. But yeah, the pictures from Highmark Stadium already looked like there was a ton of snow there. So would have been interesting to watch them play in that, but will not be playing there. Will be in the nice, warm, dry Detroit Ford Field. And they will play there back-to-back weeks because the Lions host them on Thanksgiving. MetLife Stadium, the home of the Giants and Jets, they are planning to replace the field in 2023, but they are not going to natural grass from their artificial turf surface, which I know a lot of Giants Jets fans are disappointed about, but not going to grass. Weird story here out of Tennessee. The Titans offensive coordinator Todd Downing helping the team win last night. Great play calls there. Arrested for a DUI last night, I believe after they got back to Nashville there, made a poor decision to drive and got cited for that, was released this morning there. MVP voting has changed a little bit. It will no longer be a one player, one vote type of thing. Now voters will rank their top 5 players, and I believe it'll be more like the Heisman voting where it's an aggregate kind of score there. One PUP activation, the Eagles getting some help at tight end after Dallas Goedert going on IR. The Eagles activated tight end Tyree Jackson off of PUP. So great to see Tyree back from his back surgery that he had last year. IR activations, Commanders, defensive end Chase Young, heard he was on track to play this week, but now they're saying probably not likely, more likely going to play next week. So we'll keep monitoring Chase Young's situation as he works his way back from ACL, MCL tears last November. Also activated Packers wide receiver Randall Cobb. He played last night. Nice night for him coming back from his high ankle sprain. And a bunch of guys getting their practice windows opened. Lions defensive end Romeo Okwara and wide receiver DJ Chark. Steelers defensive lineman DeMarvin Leal. Falcons guard Jalen Mayfield. And then the Cardinals are activating wide receiver Marquise Brown. Expected, I believe, to play on Monday Night Football, but we'll get more of an update there on our Monday show. Guys placed on IR this week. Rams wide receiver Cooper Kupp, high ankle sprain. He had tightrope surgery there. So he is out for at least 4 weeks. Eagles tight end Dallas Goedert, I mentioned, shoulder injury for him. And defensive tackle Marlon Tuipulotu, he has a knee injury. The Bears also placing running back Khalil Herbert on IR, as did the Broncos with offensive tackle Billy Turner. Titans corner Caleb Farley. Chiefs wide receiver Mecole Hardman with abdomen injury and illness. And then Patriots today placing defensive tackle Christian Barmore on IR. Injury-wise, Chargers defensive tackle Otito Ogbonnia, he is out for the year, ruptured patellar tendon. Terrible injury there, and also terrible for the Chargers run defense because defensive tackle Christian Covington also out for the year. He tore his pec in that Sunday night game there. Colts linebacker Shaquille Leonard, he is also out for the season-ending back surgery for him, dealing with that injury all year. Their hope is that this one final surgery will correct the issue and get him back to full strength next season. Broncos wide receiver KJ Hamler, he is out a few weeks. He has a hamstring injury, head coach Nathaniel Hackett said. And then Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott expects to return this week from his hyperextended knee, has missed the last 2 games. Ins and outs, Bills corner Tre'Davious White, linebacker Tremaine Edmonds, and defensive end Greg Rousseau are all out for Buffalo in Detroit against the Browns. The Bengals wide receiver Jamar Chase, he is out again this week, still trying to work his way back from that high ankle sprain. And Chiefs wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster is out, as is Browns corner Greg Newsome II with a concussion. Happened yesterday, or happened today, actually, I believe. And then Browns wide receiver Devontae Adams is questionable. Also out Sunday, Vikings safety Dax Hill, Jets wide receiver Corey Davis, and defensive tackle Sheldon Rankins. Texans corner Derek Stinley, Saints defensive end Marcus Davenport and Cam Jordan, corner Marshawn Lattimore, and running back Mark Ingram. Broncos wide receiver Jerry Jeudy, all out on Sunday. Couple of transactions here. The Packers, they waived wide receiver Amari Rodgers. He was subsequently claimed by the Texans, so good claim by them. They also claimed former Cardinals wide running back Eno Benjamin off waivers, so Texans utilizing their top priority in the waiver wire here to get all the players that they want, and young players trying to find some talent out there. Giants, they signed defensive tackle Vernon Butler to their practice squad, so trying to beef up their defensive tackle depth there. Jets, they are signing a former friend here, guard Laurent Duvernay-Tardif. Played with the Jets before stopping his career and going back to Canada, where he is from, to help with the COVID-19 pandemic. He is now back in the league. The Saints, they signed running back David Johnson to their practice squad, so he is back on a team here, trying to help them with Mark Ingram being injured the last couple of weeks. And the Bears, they signed a defensive end Taco Charlton off the Saints practice squad. So there you go. That was the open spot that they needed. Bears trying to help their pass rush there. The Eagles, I mentioned this earlier, they are getting a massive boost to their run defense with Jordan Davis out. Now Marlon Tuipulotu also out at defensive tackle. They signed defensive tackle Linval Joseph to a 1-year, $2.5 million max deal on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, they got former Bucks defensive tackle Ndamukong Suh to sign a 1-year deal as well. Linval Joseph more likely to play than Suh this week. But hopefully Joseph will help that run defense. He was a major force in his Vikings and Chargers days, and the Eagles hope he can help them in that regard as well. And Suh, I think, is more going to be a pass rushing defensive tackle because that's what he is best at, but definitely can stop the run as well. So college picks here. Mark and Logan continue to battle at the top. I continue to toil down at the basement here. They both went 21-10. And I went 18-13. So I am now 12 games back, or 13 games back of the boys at the top there. Logan, he went 2-2, I believe, in his lone wolves there. Got UCF right, beating Tulane. Marshall right, they beat App State. And then he lost the Syracuse game, who lost to Florida State, and he lost our FCS game of the week, Chattanooga, losing to Samford. Mark, he went 2-2 as well. He got ECU wrong. They lost to Cincinnati, but he did get, and he lost Ole Miss. They lost to Alabama. He did, however, get Iowa right. They beat Wisconsin. And he got Kansas State right. They beat Baylor. I went 0-3 in my lone wolves here. Illinois losing to Purdue. Louisville losing to Clemson. And then Texas losing to TCU. But this weekend, we got one game tonight we're covering. There's two on TV, but we're only going to cover one. San Diego State, the Aztecs at the New Mexico Lobos. The Aztecs 14.5-point favorites. On the road here, we're all on the Aztecs. Why not? They just crushed San Jose State last week. They're on a mission here, trying to improve their position within the Mountain West and keep pace with Fresno State, who they are now one game back of, and they lost to them. So they need Fresno to keep losing, and they need to keep winning here. Does SDSU. Over under here is 36.5. I'm going to go over that one, and 945 FS1. Tomorrow, though, starting early, Navy at number 20, UCF. We are all on the Knights here. Navy has been a little scrappy in some games. They lost barely to Notre Dame. But I think being in the bounce house, it's an early game at the bounce house, but still being in Florida there, I think Navy's going to struggle against that UCF offense. John Rice Plumlee has it all cooking with the big win against Tulane last week. So we're all on the Knights here. Over under here is 53, and I'm going to go over that number there. This one is at 11 a.m. Eastern, ESPN2. Illinois at number 3, Michigan. Yeah, the Wolverines should take this one handily. The Illinois defense, I don't think, has enough to stop Blake Corum and the Michigan running attack. It'll be interesting to see how the Michigan running defense matches up against Chase Brown, who had his lowest output last week of the season against Purdue. So we'll see if he gets even lower than 98 yards in this game. Wolverines, though, 18-point favorites at home. Should cover that. Maybe not. Over-under is 40.5. I am going with the over in this game. 12 p.m. ABC. Number 4, TCU. 10-0 Horned Frogs on the road at Baylor. Logan lone wolfing the Bears at home. I was thinking about it. I can't do it, though. The Horned Frogs proved me wrong last week against Texas. Not going to pick against them in this game, even on the road in Waco. It's a noon Eastern game, not a night game in Waco. Would change a lot if it was. But, I'm going to go with the Horned Frogs here. Keep rolling Max Duggan, Kendra Miller on offense. Over under is 57. I am going to go with the under. I think the TCU defense showed up last week against Texas. I think the Baylor defense as well will be good in this one, and this will go under 57. 12 p.m. on Fox. Austin P at number 8, Alabama. The Govs on the road in Tuscaloosa, not going to have a good time. But yeah, nice non-conference game for Bama here against an FCS opponent. Should roll easily. Don't have any spreads or anything for this game just yet, unless they updated them, which they have not. So, but we'll get those on the post-game show on Monday. 12 p.m. SEC Network Plus, ESPN Plus. Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns at number 19, Florida State. Impressive win last week in the Dome at Syracuse. Should have a relatively good time again this week against Louisiana back at home for the Seminoles. Trying to just improve their bowl berth here with the ACC championship locked up on both sides of the divisions there. Over under is 52. I'm gonna roll with the under. I think Florida State runs the ball a lot. So does Louisiana anyways. And I think they go under 52. 12 p.m. ESPN 3. Virginia Tech at Liberty. Liberty coming off the shocking loss at UConn last week. The Flames should bounce back. Brent Pry has not had a good season in Virginia Tech. Kind of surprised this game is playing with the happenings of Charlottesville going on and Virginia canceling their game. And these being two Virginia schools, I'm sure they will unite and have something pregame special to honor the 3 young men we lost at the Virginia program there. But anyways, over under 46.5 here. I have to think this goes over. Jonathan Bennett gets back on track. The Liberty defense plays well, and Liberty routs Virginia Tech in this one. 12 p.m. ESPN Plus. Duke at Pitt, and Mark Lone Wolf and the Blue Devils on the road in Pittsburgh. Might have a chance there with Riley Leonard, but I'm rolling with Keaton Sloves. So is Logan. I think Israel Monaconda in this game should have a nice day. And the Pitt Panthers get the win here for Logan and I. Over under is 49.5. I'm going to roll over. I think this is going to be a shootout in Pittsburgh, and it should be an entertaining game. 12 p.m. ACC Network. UTSA at Rice. Rice trying to become bowl eligible. But UTSA has been the dominant team in Conference USA all year. They've already locked in their spot in the conference championship game, undefeated in conference play, 6-0, 8-2 overall, and 13.5 point favorites here on the road in Texas. I just think Frank Harris and that offense has it rolling. Give me the Roadrunners on the road. Over under is 56.5. I'm going to go under. I don't think Rice has enough offense to keep this thing going over. 1 p.m. ESPN Plus. A lot of weird game times this week, and you'll see as we go on here. But number 15, Kansas State at West Virginia. I was thinking about getting JT Daniels at home in Morgantown, but gonna roll with KSU once again. Number 15 Wildcats should have a good day. They're trying to cement their place in the Big 12 championship game against TCU. And I think they will do that with a win here in this game. Over under is 54.5. I'm going to go with the over in that one. 2 p.m. Big 12 Network, ESPN Plus. AAC matchup, Houston at ECU. Good 6-4 matchup here between conference foes. No one wanted to go with Clayton Tune and the Cougars here. We're all on the Pirates. I like Holton Ahlers. I like their defense a lot. And it's a home game for ECU. Give me the Pirates at home there. Over under 67.5. I'm going to go under. Like I said, I think the ECU defense is pretty good. Both offenses decently explosive, but I think the Pirate defense gets it done, keeps it under. 2 p.m. ESPN Plus. Number 23, Oregon State at Arizona State. We're all on the Beavers here. The Beavs trying to keep pace here and trying to get their best bowl they can at this point in the season and looking ahead to their the Civil War against Oregon next week. But over under is 54. And I am going to roll with the over in this one. I think the Beavers offense and Emory Jones there, or not Emory Jones, Trayson Bourget has a good game there for Arizona State. 2:15 p.m. on ESPN2. Boston College at number 18, Notre Dame. The Irish should win this one handily in South Bend. Boston College coming off a surprising upset at NC State last weekend, but the Eagles are not going to get the Irish in this one, and Marcus Freeman gets the 8-3 there. Over under is 43. I have to believe that this game is going to go over 43, but it probably won't. Now that I said that, 2:30. NBC and Peacock. Number 1, Georgia Go Dogs at the Wildcats of Kentucky. It's pretty much the last test before the SEC championship game. They do have to host Georgia Tech next week, but that is a formality, I believe, anyways. This should be a good game here. SEC East matchup, and Kentucky. They're going to have to look to run Chris Rodriguez against that vaunted Georgia defense. And then Will Levis throwing the ball against that defense as well is going to be a tough out. But the Dogs, 22.5 points. Don't like that. Never like their spreads. But over-under is 48.5. I am going to go with the under in this game. 3:30 SEC on CBS. Number 2, Ohio State at Maryland. The Buckeyes should win this one handily. Maryland's defense is terrible, and I believe Ohio State will cover that spread there. But I do have hope for Maryland. Maryland usually plays Ohio State tough. I'm hoping that Talia Tagovailoa has a nice day, and Roman Hemby can run wild, kind of like they had with the one running back a couple years ago that I'm blanking on his name. But the over-under is 63.5. I'm going to go with the over in this game. 3:30 on ABC. Miami at number 9, Clemson. Clemson has bounced back nicely last week against Louisville. Think they'll win this one as well. Probably not 19. I kind of like Miami plus 19. Tyler Van Dyke there for the U. Not the season they wanted, but should be a good game there in Death Valley. Over-under is 48. I am going to go with the over in that game as well. 3:30 on ESPN. Number 11, Penn State at Rutgers. Just a short trip from Happy Valley to New Jersey. But we all liked Penn State. They were dominant last week, 30-0 win over Maryland. should dominate again this week, and kill Rutgers' hopes of a bowl bid. But just run the ball. Nicholas Singleton, Katron Allen there, and that's how you should get the win in this game. Over under is 45. I'm gonna roll with the under in that game. 3:30 Big Ten Network. Number 24, NC State at Louisville. Mark rolling with the Cardinals at home. The favorite over the ranked Wolfpack here. I think Logan and I, what we see is NC State, MJ Morris struggled last week. I think it's going to be a different story against Louisville this week. The Cardinal defense giving up a bunch of points to Clemson last week. I think NC State wants to stay in the top 25, and they'll do just that. MJ Morris bounces back. The Wolfpack offense looks a lot better, and the defense holds up against Malik Cunningham in what I think is going to be a shootout in Kentucky there. Over under 45. Give me the over. Like I said, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. It's going to be a fun one in Louisville. 3:30 ESPN Plus. ESPN 3, I should say. Fun game in the Big 12. Texas at Kansas. We're all on the Longhorns. And the reason being is, look, Texas is just praying that somehow they can get to the Big 12 championship game with 3 losses in conference. They need Kansas State to lose and some other help. But they do have slim hope still, and that starts with winning this game here, and I think they're going to get it done in Kansas. They showed a lot against TCU last week, and Jason Bean has just not been the same as Jalen Daniels for that Jayhawk offense. Over under is 63.5. I'm going under. That Texas defense is nasty. Held TCU to 17 points last week. And this one's 3:30 on FS1. Sunbelt action, South Alabama at Southern Miss. Again, I'm rolling with the Jags. Why not? Carter Bradley has been fantastic. They had the running game going. Their defense is nasty. And Southern Miss trying to go to the bowl game in their first season in the Sun Belt. Not going to happen with this game. They're gonna have to try to win the last week of the season next week. Over under is 45, and I think I'm going to go under. I think the Jags defense plays a nice role in this one, and they keep their hopes alive for a Sun Belt championship bid. They need a Troy loss. They need a Troy loss. And that's going to be tough. It's always tough when you're holding out hope for someone else to lose. Troy faces UL Monroe and Arkansas State, which we'll talk about the UL Monroe game next, actually. But 3:30 on NFL Network is this game. Speaking of Troy, UL Monroe at Troy, the Trojans 15-point favorites at home. I think they will cover that and send UL Monroe packing bowlless in this season at 4-7. The Trojans, they can lock up the Sun Belt West, I believe, with a win in this game. Or no, they would still have to win out. They need if they win out, they're in. If they lose one and South Alabama wins out, South Alabama would be in. So they need to continue to win, or hope that USA loses. But yeah, don't think they're going to lose in this one. Over under is 48, and I'm going to go with the over the offense. Gunnar Watson and co. Think get it done there. This one's 3:30 on ESPN Plus. Number 25, Cincinnati Bearcats back in the top 25 at Temple. EJ Warner, Kurt Warner's son, has been made that Owl offense a lot better, but it's not going to be enough to face the Cincinnati defense in this game. Ben Bryant and Jace McClellan have had a good season on offense. The Bearcats get to 9-2, holding out hopes of a New Year's Six bowl game, even behind Tulane and UCF there. And holding out hopes for they need to win to try to advance to the American Championship game with that game next week against Tulane. Over under is 51. I'm going to go with the under. I don't think Temple's going to score enough points in this game. 4 p.m. ESPNU. What a Big Ten matchup. Big Ten West. Iowa at Minnesota. Mark Lone Wolf and the Hawkeyes here, just like he did last week against Wisconsin. Maybe that's something we should look out for. I don't think it is. I think Minnesota has a lot to prove. They are the last place team right now out of the 4 and 3 teams in conference play. And they need this win to try to advance to the Big Ten championship game. And I think they're going to get that at home. Should be low scoring game, but Mohammed Ibrahim, Tanner Morgan and co. Get it done for PJ Fleck and row the boat. Over under is 32.5. I'm going to go over. I think it goes over 20-17. Minnesota covers in this one. 37 points total for me. 4 p.m. on Fox. Georgia Tech at number 13, North Carolina. Give me the Drake May Heisman hype. Show out, son, and make your case for the Heisman here. Get North Carolina into the top 10 next week and win the ACC and see what the playoff people think of you. Over under is 63. I'm going to go under. North Carolina's defense has been susceptible to points, but I don't think the Georgia Tech offense is going to give them enough to hit the over on that one. So give me the under. 5:30 on ESPN2. Number 5, Tennessee at South Carolina. The Volunteers should continue to roll in this one in Columbia. Don't think the Gamecocks are going to give up as much of a fight. Over under is 66 here. Going under. Spencer Rattler is not going to score enough points to get this over 66. 7 p.m. ESPN. Mountain West matchup. This one is massive, or should I say mountainous. Boise State at Wyoming. This one is for the Mountain Division, essentially. If Wyoming wins, they will be in the driver's seat with a head-to-head win over Boise State. Boise State has Utah State next week. Wyoming, in that scenario, would have Fresno State, which is more than likely going to be the representative for the West Division. So if Wyoming can get this done at home, which we do not think they can, they would play essentially a rematch, or essentially a Mountain West preview. But if they would lose that game and Boise State would beat Utah State, Boise would be in anyways. So we will wait and see what happens. But that scenario does not come into play unless Wyoming can win this game. Again, like we all don't think will happen. Taylon Green has been fantastic for this Broncos offense. And I think Boise State is just the better team at this point in the season. Even both at 7-3. Wyoming, a surprising 7-3 to most people. Over under is 43.5. I'm going to go under, actually. I think this is a low scoring game. It's fun and it's in Wyoming, so why not? 7 p.m. CBS Sportsnet. And it's a night game in Wyoming, which I think is even better. It's going to be cold for that game. Number 14, Ole Miss at Arkansas. Mark, look at that. Another lone wolf on the Razorbacks in this game. They played LSU close to a T last week. 3-point loss there. Some decision-making from Sam Pittman could have changed the game in that one. But Arkansas trying to get to a bowl. Logan and I think that will have to wait till next week's game. But Ole Miss, should bounce back here in a close game. The Arkansas defense plays it nicely, but the running attack for Ole Miss is the difference, just like Josh Williams was for LSU last week. Interesting to watch if KJ Jefferson plays in this game as well. But over under is 65.5 in this game. No, under. 7:30 SEC Network. It is Bedlam. Unfortunately, it's not the type of Bedlam rivalry we're used to. Number 22, Oklahoma State at Oklahoma. Normally both ranked in this matchup. Mark Lone Wolfing again. He's going with the Sooners at home. It's a tough environment to go into Norman at night and win. But I looked, and I think Spencer Sanders will play in this game, and that will be the difference in this one. I think the Cowboys defense is better than Oklahoma's, and they will stop Dylan Gabriel more than the Sooner defense will stop Spencer Sanders in that Cowboy offense. Over under is 67. It's tough to not pick the over in this game, but I'm going to go under, just under there. 7:30 ABC. Number 7, USC at number 16, UCLA. I am lone wolfing the Trojans, and why not? Caleb Williams, Jordan Addison. The UCLA defense has been prone to giving up points this year. I think the USC defense is a little bit better. I know I was all over UCLA and DTR. That was until they lost to Arizona last week. Partly my fault. I kind of just discarded Jaden DeLora, but that's all right. I think USC is the best team in the Pac-12, despite whatever anyone's saying about Bo Nix and Oregon. USC really doesn't have any marquee wins. This would be one here. Utah beat them in overtime. So, yeah, give me USC, the Trojans on the road. It's the Battle of LA. And I think the Trojans and Lincoln Riley in his first year get it done, go to the Pac-12 championship game. Over under 76. And why not? Give me the over. Both teams score in the 40s in this game. Sort of like a Georgia USC Rose Bowl here. 8 p.m. on Fox. Syracuse at Wake Forest. Interesting ACC matchup here. We are all on Sam Hartman and Wake. Syracuse has not been able to stop the bleeding. Dino Babers has had a tough time with that. And I think Sam Hartman showed a lot in that UNC loss last week. I think Wake Forest bounces back, gets to 7 wins, and tries to upgrade their bowl game in this one. Over under is 56. I'm going to go with the under. I don't believe in Syracuse's offense enough to score there. 8 p.m. ACC Network. UAB at number 6, LSU. Yeah, we all are on the Tigers here. The Blazers trying to look for their 6th win to get bowl eligible. Not going to happen in Baton Rouge at night. So, yeah, give us the Tigers. And as Edo used to say, go Tigers. Over under is 52. I'm going to go with the over in that one. I just think that the LSU offense is going to bounce back from that close Arkansas win, only scoring 13 points. They're going to put it on UAB relatively quickly. I think UAB scores enough to get that thing over. 9 p.m. on ESPN2, a late start in Baton Rouge there. Colorado at number 17, Washington. Yeah, the Huskies should roll in this one. Colorado sucks. It's in Seattle, and the Huskies will get this one done easily. Michael Penix has a nice night. Maybe 400 yards again like he had against Oregon. What we will see. Over-under is 64. Under. Colorado won't score enough. Washington's not going to score 65. 9 p.m. Pac-12 Network. How about this game? Number 10, Utah at number 12, Oregon. Mark lone wolfing the Ducks at home. It is a tough scene to go into. Night game in Eugene. But Utah has the Oregon's number. They beat them twice last year, once in the regular season. They crushed them both times, actually, in the regular season and in the Pac-12 championship game. I think Kyle Whittingham knows how to beat Oregon, whether it's in Salt Lake City or it's in Eugene. I don't think it's going to matter. The Utes get the win on the road, and they go to the Pac-12 championship game. Again, try to back up their Pac-12 championship from last season. Over-under is 60. I am going to go over 10:30 on ESPN. And our FCS game of the week, last week in the regular season for the FCS teams here. Selection Sunday coming up this weekend. But number 8, William and Mary at number 11, Richmond. I think Logan is lone wolf in the Spiders at home. Look, I just think that that William and Mary is the better team, and that's why they're higher ranked in this one. Ryan Udinsky here, the transfer, or Reese Udinsky, transfer from Maryland, coming to Richmond. I think that William and Mary is going to run the ball. They have this guy, Bronson Yoder, who is looking to get over 1,000 yards on the year. And I just think the William and Mary defense is going to step up, play well, and get the win in Richmond. They're and this game also, I believe this game has conference implications. Yes, this is the CAA conference, pretty much is who's going to win the conference here in this game. So NFL pick standings. Yeah, Logan and I, it was not a good weekend overall. Mark, the only one not having a losing record, 6-6 for him. Logan and I, 5-7, not good. Mark gains a game up on Logan. He's now 5 back. Or 3. He's 3 back. I don't know how I did that game there, but yeah, he should be 3 back, I believe, because I am 18 back or something like that. I don't know. We'll get that figured out. But yeah. The not a good week for Logan and I. Mark 6-6 there. Mark won his only lone wolf. He got the Cardinals right. I lost, or I went 1-1 on mine. I got the Steelers right against the Saints, but I lost the Broncos against the Titans. Thought they were gonna win that one. Just could not complete the win there in Nashville. But this week, the Eagles at the Colts, looking to bounce back, get to 9-1 here, keep pace in the NFC. Hopefully, we'll have Linval Joseph at the very least, and the real hope is we get him and Sue both for this game. But Joseph at the very least there on the D line to help out the run defense against Jonathan Taylor. Should be a good game for the Eagles offense. No Shaquille Leonard. And that Colts defense is having a tough time with injuries. So I think they'll do just fine in this one. Over-under is 45.5. I'm going to go with the under in this game. Panthers at the Ravens. I have lone wolfed Carolina a couple times this year. I cannot do it in Baltimore. It's too tough of a matchup, even coming off a win against the Falcons last Thursday. The Ravens getting healthy, and I think they should be fine in this one. Going to be a good matchup against the Carolina defense, but I think they're going to outlast them in that regard. Over-under is 41. Also Baker Mayfield starting for this one, but we'll see if that is a good or bad thing. I don't know. Over under 41 here. I am going to go with the over in this game. Bears at the Falcons. Mark Lone Wolf and the Falcons in Atlanta here. Logan and I on Chicago. I mentioned this earlier. Chicago's offense has really improved. I'm still not a Justin Fields guy. He has to prove to me that he can actually be an NFL quarterback and not just run around and be a runner, because that's not how you win games necessarily. Eventually, you're going to have to throw the ball to win. So, yeah, I think he's got to prove a lot more to me still. But, yeah, the Bears, I think, are going to be enough. Their defense struggles, so I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. But I think Chicago gets the win in Atlanta. Over under 49, give me the over. Like I said, high-scoring game, I think, for both sides. Browns at the Bills in Detroit. I think the Bills being inside is going to help them a lot. And their offense is going to go off against the Browns. No Greg Newsome for the Cleveland secondary. It's going to be a tough day for Cleveland and Detroit there. Over under is 49.5. I am going to go with the over. Somewhere like 35-24. Jets at the Patriots here. AFC East battle. Jets trying to keep pace with the Dolphins and Bills in the AFC East. Patriots trying to get back into things in that division. So, but I think the Patriots are going to do just that. So does Logan. Being in Foxborough, I think is going to be a big thing for them at home. And I just think the Patriots, the Jets have struggled with no Breece Hall, some of their injuries there. Patriots got to Zach Wilson last game they played against him. I think the Patriots are going to run the ball with Ramondre Stevenson like they did against New York last time, and they are going to get the win and the sweep of the Jets. Over-under is 38, and I'm going to go with the under in that game. Rams at the Saints. Mark Lone Wolf, and again, he's going with his Rams. This is a tough game to pick. Logan and I are rolling with New Orleans in this game. And I just think Andy Dalton is starting again. I think Jameis Winston might play in this game eventually if Andy Dalton struggles once again. But I think the Saints have enough offensively and defensively. The Rams' offense is terrible. Now they go without Cooper Kupp. I just don't see how the Rams are going to score any points without Kupp. And give me the Saints here in this one. Over under is 39. And I am going to have to go with the under. Lions at the Giants. We're all on New York. This should be a relatively easy game for the G-men. The Lions will fight. That's true. This one was in Detroit. I would think it'd be a tougher call, but it's at MetLife Stadium. So I think the Giants, Saquon has a great day against the Lions run defense. Over under is 44.5. I think I'm going to have to roll with the over. I think the Giants score a bunch of points in this one, and the Lions do just enough offensively to get that thing over the mark. Last 1:00 game here, Commanders at the Texans. We're all on Washington. They showed a lot against Philly last week, but the Texans have not shown much this season. And I think it's another tough loss in Houston there. But the Texans do have a shot in this game, I think. They're just going to get run over by Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson, I think, because their run defense is not good, just like Phillies has been the last couple of weeks. Over under is 40.5. I'm going to go with the over. I think this one is a closer one, and I think it gets just over on the day. AFC West matchup 405 game here. Raiders at the Broncos. I was thinking about picking Vegas, but I'm going to stick with Denver here. The Raiders defense is terrible. The Broncos defense is really good. And I think the Broncos offense, even without Hamler and Judy, I think they're going to run the ball on the Raiders defense with Murray and Gordon. And I think that's how they win. Use the play action to throw to Sutton and Dulcich and Hinton even. And that's how the Broncos get this one done. It kind of solidified it when I got the notification that Devontae Adams is questionable, might not be at full health if he does play in this game. Over under is 41.5. Give me the under. Again, low scoring. The Broncos defense. That's how their games have been all year. And they had the one of the worst offenses in NFL history in terms of points per game. Bengals at the Steelers. Yes, I'm lone wolfing the Steelers for the second straight week. Look, TJ Watt did everything for this Steelers defense. Him coming back, just his presence on the field made the offense on the other side change things and made the players on his side kind of up their play because he's on the field. So I think that helps a lot in their defensive game plan. No Jamar Chase in this game, so they won't have to worry about him torching them like he did in the week 1 game, which they won. So I'm predicting a Steelers sweep of Cincinnati this year. But they do have to deal with Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins still, and Joe Mixon in the run game. But I think they can quell that with Cam Hayward inside. And the Bengals defense has not been very good the last couple of weeks. I think Kenny Pickett is kind of starting to hit his stride. The Steelers running game had their best game of the season last week. Najee Harris with 99 rushing yards. And him and Jalen Warren, along with Kenny Pickett's legs, I think will help that Steelers offense get the win in this game. Give me over under 40.5. I am going to go with the under. Steelers defense plays very well for the second straight week with Watt. 425 games here. Or the Steelers game is a 425. So is this game. Cowboys at the Vikings. Mark lone wolfing again. He is going with Dallas in this one on the road. I'm just going to continue to go with the Vikings. So is Logan. I think they're a better team. The Cowboys, showed that they're not invincible in that Packers game. And I think they're going to be able to run the ball like they did against Green Bay. But Zeke back, they should have a 1-2 punch. I just don't think the Cowboys secondary is good enough to face Justin Jefferson there and Adam Thielen. I think the defense is taking a step back, and the Vikings are just lucky this year. So 1-score game again, probably, and the Vikings are going to go to 9-1. But the over under here is 48. I have to think that goes under. I don't know though. Probably over. Both offenses are pretty good. Sunday Night Football, the Chiefs at the Chargers. We're all rolling with the Arrowheads here. The Chargers, I don't know what they're going to do on defense to stop the run game. Now, the Chiefs aren't the greatest running attack in the league. They've passed the ball exponential amount of times the last couple of weeks. But no Juju in this game. No Mecole Hardman. They're going to have to lean on Kadarius Toney, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and Sky Moore here. So I think that's going to change their game plans, especially how easily they saw the Niners running the ball with Elijah Mitchell and Christian McCaffrey last week. I think the Chiefs, Andy Reid is going to change it to a run-based attack. They're going to run Isaiah Pacheco and Clyde Edwards-Helaire a lot in this game, and they should, because the Chargers defense once again has not been very good against the run this year, and they just lost 2 defensive tackles to the season last week. Over-under is 52 though, and I am going to go with the under because it's just going to be under in this game. 8:20 on NBC. Best bets of the week, 2-1 last week. I got back to 500, 13-13-4 here. This week I'm going with 2 NFC East and an NFC North team here. NFC North, the Bears plus 3.5 at the Falcons. I think they're going to win that outright. And I think 3.5 gives them a good chance to cover, even if they lose close in that one. Giants and Commanders, I like very much against bad teams, the Lions and the Texans. Lions have showed a lot to me this year, a lot more than the Texans have. So I think that one could be closer, but I think both teams have a good shot. 3 is a nice number. Should be able to push that, even if it does happen that either or both of those games are close. NFL lock standings. Yes, I lost my lock last week. Fall to 3 games back of Mark. Logan is 1 game back there. He and Mark both got theirs right. Logan went with the Chiefs. They beat the Jags last week. And then Mark got the Giants right, who beat the Texans. And then I lost. I picked the Cowboys, and they lost to the Packers. Forgot to say my my best bets last week. Recap there. Speaking of the Chiefs game, that was just a heartbreaker. I was a half a point from going 3-0, plus 9.5. Chiefs win by 10 over the Jags. That's a heartbreaker there. Got the Dolphins right, minus 3.5 against the Cleveland. They just destroyed the Browns by 22. And then Chargers plus 7 at the Niners. Got that one right. They only lost by 6. This week, though, lock standings. We got the Bills. Logan going with Buffalo against the Browns in Detroit. No fault in that one. I think that's a good pick. I'm going with the Chiefs over the Chargers on Sunday Night Football. Again, I think it's going to be a run-centric offense for the Chiefs, kind of like they did against the Texans 2 years ago on opening night. And then Mark has gone with the Commanders. I like that one. Like I said, I like the Washington plus -3 at Houston. So don't fault him for that pick either. All 3, I think, have a great chance of winning this weekend. Dog standings. Yes, sir. I am continuing to be the dog champion. 2-0 last week. Got the outright win. Logan and Mark both 0-2. They both rolled with the Seahawks plus 2.5 at the Bucks in Munich. They did not win that one. They actually lost by 5. So they lost that. I got mine right. The Steelers plus 1.5 against the Saints in Pittsburgh. Won that one outright 20-10. So loving 15-5. Great record here. Logan is now 3.5 games back. And Mark is now 9 back of me. So I'm putting up a pretty good lead now, trying to keep this thing rolling in the dog standing. So at least I can win something this year on the show. Dogs of the week here. Logan plus 1.5 against the Cowboys are the Vikings. Like that pick. I think that has a really good chance to win outright, as Logan and I both picked that. Mark lone wolfing the Cowboys in that game. Rolling again with the Bears plus 3 at the Falcons. They're the only underdog I picked to win outright other than the Steelers. I just didn't want to roll with the Steelers to feel like the Bears have a better chance against the Falcons than the Steelers do against the Bengals. And then Mark going with his team there, the Rams plus 3 at the Saints. He's lone wolfing that game, so I don't think that has a good chance. But plus 3 is a nice number. Could cover that and lose outright, however. So next week we'll be back talking NFL Week 12. It will be Black Friday. So great to have a show there. We'll be talking Monday Night Football, Thanksgiving game recaps. The Monday night game is the Niners and Cardinals, and then the Thanksgiving games: Bills at the Lions, Giants at the Cowboys, and the Patriots at the Vikings. Great way to spend your Thanksgiving day. And as of course, we will have all the NFL and college football game previews, giving you all the injury updates for the NFL there. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media at FAA Podcast on Instagram and Twitter. FAA_bets is our betting account on Twitter as well. And then FAApodcast.com is our website. Make sure you go on and check out our new Thanksgiving shirt design there. And don't forget to follow us on all our here on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, etc. Thank you all for watching. Go Polar Bears, and we'll see you back